Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're diving into a pretty incredible place, the University of Al-Qarawiyyin.
Definitely a fascinating one.
Yeah, and I've been looking over all the research,
Mhm.
and it's just amazing to
Yeah.
think about, a place that's been a center of learning for over 1,000 years.
hmm
What I think is really interesting, though,
Yeah.
is thinking about what this place can
hmm
teach us today, in the 21st century.
Oh, absolutely. It's easy to sort of get lost in the, historical details.
Yeah,
But what makes Al-Qarawiyyin so fascinating is its enduring relevance.
exactly. So let's sort of like set the stage here.
Okay.
Um, We know it's officially recognized as the oldest continuously operating university in the world,
Right.
dating back to 859 AD.
Wow.
But where did it all begin?
Well, the story of Al-Qarawiyyin is really intertwined with this remarkable woman, Fatima al-Fihri.
Okay.
She used her inheritance to establish not just a mosque, but this whole educational complex.
I find it fascinating that she envisioned this space for both spiritual and worldly knowledge
Yeah.
back in the 9th century.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's pretty forward thinking, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
think her story really challenges a lot of assumptions about women's roles in history,
Mm-hmm.
especially within the Islamic world.
Right.
Fatima al-Fihri was a true pioneer
Yeah.
who paved the way for generations of scholars.
Her vision really did sort of set the stage for what Al-Qarawiyyin would become.
Yeah.
Our sources describe it as this vibrant hub
Mm-hmm.
attracting scholars from all over the world.
Right.
And they weren't limited to religious studies either.
No.
It seems like they were studying everything from astronomy to medicine.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was a true multidisciplinary approach.
Wow.
And for example, you had one of the scholars associated with the university, Ibn al-Bana.
Oh.
He made these groundbreaking advancements in algebra.
Okay.
So he developed techniques for solving quadratic equations that
Yeah.
were centuries ahead of their time.
Wow.
And his work even went on to influence European mathematicians during the Renaissance.
Okay, so that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
A specific example of their work that still resonates today.
Exactly.
So we have this incredible woman, Fatima al-Fihri, founding this center of learning
Mm-hmm.
that's making significant contributions to all these different fields.
Yeah,
I mean, that's a pretty impressive legacy.
absolutely.
But how did that legacy spread beyond Al-Qurawiyyin's walls?
Well, Al-Qurawiyyin's influence actually stretched far beyond its physical location.
Okay.
It became a model for other institutions, even influencing the development of some of the earliest European universities.
Okay, but what does that actually look like?
Sure.
Can you give me a specific example of how Al-Qurawiyyin's model was adopted
Mm-hmm.
by a European university?
Certainly take the University of Bologna,
Right.
one of the first universities in Europe.
Hmm.
It adopted a similar multidisciplinary approach to education,
Okay.
offering a range of subjects beyond just theology.
Right.
So this broad approach to learning,
which we often just take for granted today. That can be traced back to Al-Qurawiyyin's influence.
Wow, that's a really tangible connection.
Yeah.
It makes you realize how interconnected intellectual history really is.
Mm-hmm.
We tend to think of these different periods and regions as isolated.
Yeah.
But Al-Qurawiyyin's story clearly shows
Right.
how ideas can travel and inspire change across cultures and centuries.
Precisely. And it's not just about institutional structures.
Oh, yeah.
Al-Qarawiyyin fostered this culture of academic freedom and debate,
Mhm.
which also influenced European intellectual life.
The concept of open inquiry is so critical,
Right.
but it makes me wonder, how did this play out in practice at Al-Qarawiyyin?
Mm-hmm.
Did they have specific practices or structures
Yeah.
that foster this environment of debate?
Well, one notable aspect was the presence of scholars
Okay.
from such diverse backgrounds and faiths.
Mhm.
For instance, the renowned Jewish philosopher Maimonides
Okay.
spent time at Al-Qarawiyyin engaging with its intellectual community.
Wow.
So this openness to different perspectives was woven into the very fabric of the university.
That's fascinating. So it sounds like Al-Qarawiyyin wasn't just a place for acquiring knowledge,
Right.
but also a space for challenging and refining ideas
Mm-hmm.
through dialogue with people
Yeah.
from such diverse backgrounds.
Exactly. And that spirit of open inquiry extended to their approach to scholarship as well.
What do you mean by that?
Well, take Ibn Khaldun,
Right.
who's considered one of the most important scholars to have studied at Al-Qarawiyyin.
Mm.
He's often credited as a pioneer of sociology and historiography,
Okay.
and his work was revolutionary for its time.
Okay.
He emphasized the importance of studying social and economic factors
Mm-hmm.
in shaping historical events.
Okay.
a perspective that really challenged traditional historical narratives.
So he was going beyond just recounting events,
Yeah.
actually analyzing the underlying causes and patterns.
Exactly.
That's pretty remarkable for a scholar writing in the 14th century.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, did any of his contemporaries push back against his ideas?
Of course. There was debate and discussion,
Yeah.
as there should be in any vibrant intellectual environment.
That makes sense.
Right.
It's not like everyone just accepted his ideas without question.
Exactly. And those debates likely contributed to refining and strengthening his theories.
Mm-hmm.
It reminds us that intellectual progress often emerges
Right.
from this clash of ideas and perspectives.
This all paints such a vivid picture of Al-Qarawiyyin as this bustling center of intellectual activity.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also curious about the actual space itself.
Yeah.
What did it look like? Did the physical environment reflect this commitment to a holistic approach to education?
Absolutely. The architecture of Al-Qarawiyyin is a masterpiece in itself.
Okay, now I'm really intrigued. Tell me more about these architectural details. Like,
Okay.
what should we be picturing here?
All right, let's take a virtual tour.
We left off talking about the architecture.
Right.
But before we get to that, I want to go back to something you mentioned about the library.
Oh, yeah. The
Um,
library.
you said it's one of the oldest in the world,
It is, yeah.
housing this collection of manuscripts
Mm-hmm.
that provide a glimpse
Right.
into the intellectual life of the time.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm picturing
Yeah.
rows of ancient texts, each one a window into the past.
This is incredible.
Are there any particularly notable manuscripts that stand out?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
The library holds works by some of the greatest minds of the era, like we talked about Ibn al-Bana,
Yeah.
a treatise on mathematics by him.
Okay.
But there's one manuscript that's particularly fascinating,
Okay.
a copy of the Muqaddimah
Okay.
by Ibn Khaldun.
Mm-hmm.
This copy is believed to have been transcribed during Ibn Khaldun's lifetime.
Wow.
So it's a really...
A text written by the man himself?
Yes.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
It must be amazing to hold a piece of history like that in your hands. It really connects us back to those scholars who walked those halls centuries ago.
Yeah, it really is like a tangible link to the past,
Yeah.
reminding us of the power of the written word.
Speaking of enduring power,
Yeah.
we've talked a lot about how Al-Qarawiyyin influenced the development of universities in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
But what about its impact on its own community
Yeah,
and the wider Islamic world?
that's an important point.
Okay.
While its impact on Europe is very well documented,
Mm-hmm.
Al-Qarawiyyin's influence on the Islamic world was even more profound.
Okay.
It served as this leading center of scholarship,
Okay.
attracting students and scholars from across the Islamic world for centuries.
So it wasn't just this isolated hub.
No.
It was deeply connected to the broader intellectual currents of the Islamic world.
Exactly.
Okay.
It played a crucial role in transmitting knowledge across generations and regions,
Wow.
and its influence wasn't limited to academia.
What do you mean?
Well, Al-Qarawiyyin was also a social and cultural center.
Okay.
It housed a mosque, a library,
Mm-hmm.
and even a hammam, a public bathhouse.
Wow.
So it was a place where people from all walks of life could come together, not just to learn, but to socialize and engage with their community.
So it was really integrated into the fabric of life in Fez. It wasn't just this ivory tower.
Right.
It was a living, breathing part of the community.
Precisely. And that's something I think is really inspiring about Al-Qarawiyyin.
Okay.
It shows us that education can be more than just a means to an end.
Mm-hmm.
It can be a force that brings people together and strengthens communities.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
It challenges us to think about how we can make education
Right.
more relevant and accessible to everyone,
Mm-hmm.
not just a select few.
Absolutely.
But I'm curious,
Yeah.
how has Al-Qarawiyyin adapted
Mm-hmm.
to the modern world?
Yeah.
Is it still relevant in the 21st century?
That's the key question, isn't it? Al-Qarawiyyin today is this fascinating blend of the ancient and the modern.
Oh.
It still functions as a center for Islamic education,
Mm-hmm.
but it's also modernized its curriculum to include subjects like economics and law and computer science.
So they're balancing tradition with innovation,
Yeah.
trying to remain relevant
Mm-hmm.
while staying true to their roots.
Exactly. They're acknowledging that the needs of students and society have changed,
Right.
But they're also recognizing the value of their own unique history and tradition.
This idea of balancing tradition and modernity seems particularly relevant today as we grapple with rapid technological advancements and shifting cultural norms.
Absolutely.
But I wonder, do you think there are any aspects of Al-Qarawiyyan's approach that might be difficult to replicate in a modern context?
That's a thought-provoking question.
Yeah.
One potential challenge, I think,
Okay.
is the close integration of religion and education at Al-Qarawiyyin. In today's increasingly secular world, that model might not be easily transferable to other contexts.
Okay.
However, the core values that underpin Al-Qarawiyyan's approach, the emphasis on critical thinking and open debate and community engagement, those are universally applicable.
So it's not necessarily about copying the model exactly, but about extracting the underlying principles and applying them to our own unique circumstances.
Precisely. And that's what makes studying Al-Qarawiyyin so valuable. It offers us this different perspective on education. One that challenges us to rethink our assumptions and consider new possibilities.
It reminds us that there are many ways to approach learning and that wisdom can be found in the most unexpected places.
Absolutely.
This deep dive has really highlighted the importance of understanding history, not just as a collection of facts and dates, but as a source of inspiration and insight.
I agree.
Speaking of shaping our world, we've talked about the intellectual and social impact of Al-Qarawiyyin, but I'm also curious about its physical presence. We touched on the library earlier, but what about the rest of the complex? What can its architecture tell us about its values and its place in the community?
Well, the architecture of Al-Qarawiyyin is just as fascinating as its history. It's a true reflection of the university's values, blending beauty, functionality, and spiritual significance.
Okay, I'm ready for a virtual tour.
Right.
What are some of the architectural highlights we should be looking out for?
So imagine this.
Okay, so we were talking about these architectural highlights.
Right. So imagine this. You step through this modest doorway. And you find yourself in this tranquil courtyard. Sunlight filters through the leaves of orange trees. Casting these intricate patterns on the white marble floor.
Wow.
And the sound of water trickling from a fountain creates this soothing ambiance. All around you, these graceful arches and columns sort of lead the eye towards the heart of the complex, the mosque.
It sounds incredibly peaceful. It's amazing to think that this serene space has been a center of bustling activity for centuries.
It really is. It's a testament to the architect's ability to create a space that fosters both contemplation and connection. And then you'll notice these intricate geometric patterns adorning the walls and floors. These aren't just decorative elements. They reflect the importance of mathematics and geometry in Islamic art and science.
So even the decorative elements have a deeper meaning.
Exactly.
Like the whole complex is a lesson in itself. Even before you open a book.
Precisely. And as you wander deeper into the complex, you'll discover the library with its rows of ancient manuscripts. And the library isn't just a repository of knowledge. It's also designed to inspire awe and wonder.
How so?
Well, the high ceilings, the carved wooden shelves, and this soft, diffused light, it creates a sense of reverence for the written word.
It sounds like every detail from the courtyards to the library was carefully considered to enhance the learning experience.
It really was.
Do you think modern universities could learn something from this approach to design?
I think so. You know, today we often focus so much on functionality and efficiency in our educational spaces. But Al-Qarawiyyin reminds us that the physical environment can play such a powerful role in shaping our mindset and inspiring a love of learning. So imagine studying in a space that's not just practical, but also beautiful and thought-provoking.
I can see how that would make a difference. It's not just about absorbing information. It's about creating an immersive experience that engages all the senses.
Precisely. And Al-Qarawiyyin also demonstrates this importance of integrating different functions within a single complex. So you have the mosque, the library, the classrooms, even the hammam. All within a short distance of each other. And this encourages interaction and a sense of community, reminding us that learning isn't just this solitary pursuit. It's a social endeavor.
That reminds me of something we talked about earlier, this idea of Al-Qarawiyyin as a social and cultural hub.
Yeah.
Not just an academic institution.
Exactly.
This integrated approach to design really reinforces that concept.
It does. And I think there's a really valuable lesson here for us today. In a world that's increasingly fragmented and specialized.
Yeah.
Al-Qarawiyyin reminds us of the importance of creating spaces that bring people together from different backgrounds and disciplines, fostering that sense of shared purpose and community.
That's a powerful message, especially in our increasingly polarized world.
Absolutely.
Seems like Al-Qarawiyyin has a lot to teach us.
It does.
Not just about education, but about community building and creating a more harmonious society.
Absolutely. Al-Qarawiyyin's story is a testament to the enduring power of education to transcend boundaries, bridge cultures, and inspire positive change.
This deep dive has been a real eye-opener. It's made me think differently about the role of education, the importance of design, and the power of history to inform our present and future.
I'm so glad. And I hope our listeners are inspired to learn more about Al-Qarawiyyin and explore what its legacy means for us in the 21st century. What lessons can we learn from its approach to education, its architecture, its commitment to community?
Those are great questions to ponder.
Yeah.
And for our listeners, remember that learning is a journey, not a destination.
Right.
Keep exploring. Keep questioning.
Yeah.
And who knows, maybe you'll be inspired to create your own spaces for dialogue, understanding, and lifelong learning.
That's a wonderful thought to leave our listeners with.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the fascinating world of Al-Qarawiyyin.
And a big thanks to our expert for sharing their insights.
It was my pleasure.
Until next time, keep diving deep.